there's always a good war story. It's always worth listening to. I came in the Corps and as a V5 aviation cadet, received my wings in December of 1943. During my training, my experience in the N2S with an instructor, an AV instructor, was doing loops in the N2S over the bridge between the air station in Memphis and Memphis itself. This determined that I could do anything too, which was totally illegal at that time. My first flight in the Corsair was flown at the end of 1943. Did tactical training at various bases. I departed the U.S. in 1944 en route to Guam. And a one-time experience from San Francisco to Hawaii. I'm not sure how many of you remember. I was aboard the last China Clipper that flew from San Diego to Hawaii. This was a real experience. That's a beautiful bird. It's like living in a hotel. The flights were terminated during the course of World War II. I don't know when they started up after World War II. I didn't have an interest in that, but apparently they flew for a while and then went out of business. Let's see. Did tactical operations in the Corsair in Guam, Kwajalein, Okinawa, and any at the Naval Air Station in Yokosuka, Japan, arriving in time for the signing of the treaty in Tokyo Bay. During this time when we were at Japan, the flights we performed were looking for POW camps. We did find them, we called them in, the Army sent medevacs out to the various locations and took care of the prisoners. It was rather a worthwhile flight. The Japanese people themselves, the older people, were very polite to us. They took care of us, they did the things we needed. We had a houseboy in one of the Japanese barracks that we trained to serve us beer. And when he served beer, his presentation was on a platter. He said, "Oh, my aching back." He taught him English.
Oh, my aching back.
Okay. All flights in the Corsair are covering thousands of miles of open water. You can't imagine if you take off from Okinawa and you fly to Kyushu. That's a lot of water with nothing in between. But the Corsair always got us there and got us back. In fact, we were up there on dive bombing, strafing. We forgot to mention there's 2,400 rounds of ammunition with 650 caliber machine guns in every plane. If you hold all three down at one time, you get rid of it in less than a minute. But if you tempered your gun, you could kind of drag it out. We had fun on strafing in Korea and in Kyushu, and we would try to follow train tracks along into the mountains. When we see smoke coming out, if we had a 500-pounder, we'd get real low over the tracks, probably 10 or 15 feet, as low as we could get based on the surrounding terrain, so we didn't wipe a wing out. And we dropped our bomb on the railroad track so that it would skid. It wouldn't pick up the gravity yet. It would go flat on the rail and go right straight into the tunnel. Then we'd wait for the thrill, the blowout, and it would come. That would wipe out another train. That was fun.
That was fun.
On a tactical flight of 8 Corsairs over Wochi, we were stationed in Kwajalein for a while, and we flew missions on Wochi. It's a small island. I took an 8-8 fire hitting the engine oil. My power lasted about 1 minute, and then I put the bird down in the lagoon. It sank in less than a minute, which meant that I had my little dinghy out there, and I was paddling like mad to get away from the Japs which were on the island, because they somehow thought I shouldn't be there. So they were firing, but it's amazing what you can do with a paddle in a little dinghy at a young age. I was picked up in about 2 hours, I guess, PBY. It that they called in and returned to the base. In the late 40s, the squadron was qualified for carrier landings aboard the Stephen-A. The Stephen-A is a jeep carrier. It's a single deck. It has 5 wires and a net. If you miss the wires, you go into the net. If the net's not there, you go overboard. Very interesting. We lost several planes that way. And for the old timers, if you ever, the LSO today on the split deck carriers is all electronic. You have like a traffic light. You have a traffic light. And you're high, you're low, more power, less power, too fast, too slow, too high, too low. In the old days, we had landing signal officers, LSOs. Mine was Dick Flanagan. He was about 6 foot tall, and he had 2 paddles. And he kept bringing us in, regardless of the height of the rear end of the carrier. We maintained a steady altitude because the LSO told us where we were. If the ship was up, that was fine. And the idea was to land just as the ship reached the peak of the upward swell. You didn't want to do it when it was going down because that meant you would cut you like 50 feet in the air. That's a long way down to the deck. We had real good luck. You want a thrill? Try night landing, the first one. I know today we do it routinely, but in those days we didn't have any lights. The deck was rather small, 500 feet. It was a thrill to do it, but let me tell you, there was a lot of sweat in trying to get it down. And if you miss the wires, you went into a big net, which they brought up just prior to the tower, and the plane would go into the net. And that didn't do any damage to the aircraft at all, so we were okay that way. Where are my notes? Okay, once we CARE qualified, or in fact, right after we were CARE qualified out at Cherry Point in BMS 225, we got orders to go to board the plane, or board the carrier, and we went to the Persian Gulf on a classified mission. It was not known, we didn't know where we were going, and we didn't know what we were going to do, except we took full complement with a lot of ammunition, that's all I say. I have about 2,000 hours in the Corsair, total hours during my 25 years in the Marine Corps, about 5,200. My individual awards for what they're worth: the Silver Star, 2 DFCs, and 21 air medals. I served in World War II, Korea, Vietnam. Retired in 1967. Of interest to you, I was the commanding officer of down in Pensacola at Saltfleet Field for the first Navy jet training command. We brought in what was known as the TT-1, very Temco jet, a little underpowered jet. We had a lot of fun with it. We got our first class about, I can't remember the exact date, but about 2 years. The little bird was underpowered. It took the full runway, and you prayed every time you took off because there just wasn't anything there. The T-37 that the Army, the Air Force had, which was side by side with a far better aircraft. So we did train what the people came through, and the Marines, everybody got through it. We didn't lose anybody, and so that was a successful operation. As a side light, in 1965, I was in Hawaii. I got orders to come back. I was given a chance of taking a staff job in the wing headquarters, or take up, become commanding officer of a helicopter squadron with HMM 364. Never flown a helicopter, don't know anything about them, don't like them. They're held together with rubber bands at that time. They vibrate like mad, and you're a sitting duck. It's true, you take off vertical and you land vertical. but in the meantime, they're shooting at you. So we do have a little problem. As an example, one mission out of Keha, which is where we were stationed. That's K-Y, Keha, H-A, K-Y-H-A. We had the whole squadron, there was 24 of us. We only get about 20 of them airborne with the Vietnamese soldiers. We landed, or came in to land on a big open field, and all of a sudden, as we're in the landing mode, everything would have been hard to change. All these little foxholes opened up, and all the little goose came out of their hole and started firing at us. Lost 18 planes that day. We managed to get them across the river into a secure area with air cover, and we got most of the planes back to the base with seal repair. But when he came back, the mech just take gum. Oh, bullet hole here, bullet hole there, one there. I just patched them up. Had a great time. My service was thrilling as long as I could fly. I've had a good life. I'm with the rest of them. I'll be 93 in January. So the Lord was on my side this time. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.